In the hit movie Grease, a memorable scene features stalker Channing donning a blonde wig and performing "Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee." This catchy moment highlights how Sandra Dee's image as America's sweetheart became a lasting element of pop culture. Through this musical number, the character embodies the idealized notions of innocence and purity that defined the actress's early career. This portrayal starkly contrasts with the complexities and challenges Sandra faced in her personal life, revealing the tension between her public persona and private struggles. The song serves as a commentary on the pressures of fame and the expectations placed on young women in Hollywood, illustrating how the sweet, innocent image often masks deeper issues. As audiences enjoy the lightheartedness of the performance, they may not fully grasp the weight of the reality behind Sandra Dee's life, marked by personal turmoil and the quest for authenticity amidst the glitz and glamour of stardom. Born on April 23, 1942, in Bayonne, New Jersey, Sandra Dee entered a world shaped by the challenges faced by her teenage parents, John and Mary Sook. Her early life was anything but stable, as her parents were young and financially insecure. John worked as a bus driver, often struggling to provide for the family, while Mary took on part-time jobs to help make ends meet. This environment created a unique dynamic for Sandra, who was their only child. She became the center of their affection, yet she also witnessed the stress and difficulties that her parents endured. This duality of being loved and seeing hardship left a lasting impression on her. From a young age, Sandra learned to internalize the stress around her, which would later influence her personal life. The instability of her childhood shaped her character and outlook, leading her to navigate the complexities of life with a sense of resilience that would define her later years. John, Sandra Dee's father, struggled with drinking and gambling, which created significant tension within the family. His issues led to financial instability and emotional distress, making life difficult for Sandra and her mother, Mary. In her quest to provide a stable environment for her daughter, Mary worked long hours, often sacrificing her own needs. Eventually, she formed a relationship with Eugene Devon, a wealthy real estate developer. This relationship marked a turning point in Sandra's life, as it allowed her to escape the chaos of her father's home. However, Eugene's presence brought its own challenges. His influence on Sandra's upbringing was profound, shaping her views on adult relationships. The complexities of her family dynamics, particularly the absence of her father, and the controversial role of Eugene, left a lasting impact on Sandra. These experiences contributed to her understanding of love, trust, and stability, which would resonate throughout her life and career in the entertainment industry. By the time Sandra was 5, her parents were divorced, and her mother married Eugene Devon. This change marked a significant turning point in Sandra's early life. She would never see her biological father again, which left a void that was both confusing and painful. His sudden disappearance from her life was abrupt and unexplained, creating unresolved feelings that lingered throughout her childhood. Reports indicate that John, her father, passed away in 1966 while still in his 40s, but not much else is known about his life after the divorce. This lack of closure weighed heavily on Sandra, shaping her emotional landscape. Her stepfather, Eugene, provided financial security, which was a relief in many ways. However, his presence also introduced a complex dynamic into her life. The relationship with her stepfather became one of the most troubling aspects of her childhood, filled with both comfort and deep emotional conflict. As she navigated her formative years, the impact of her parents' divorce and her stepfather's role would leave lasting impressions on her identity and emotional well-being. Growing up, Sandra Dee faced the strict control of her mother, Mary, who became a classic stage mother. Mary had big dreams for her daughter and pushed her into show business at a very young age. She saw Sandra's beauty and talent as a way to escape the hardships they had faced in their earlier life. From early childhood, Sandra was enrolled in modeling and acting lessons, with her mother constantly shuttling her from one audition to another. While many might have viewed this as a glamorous lifestyle, Sandra felt an immense pressure to succeed. This pressure stemmed from her mother's relentless ambition, which left little room for Sandra to make her own choices. The emotional strain of living under such control affected her deeply, and would continue to impact her throughout her life. The desire to meet her mother's expectations often overshadowed Sandra's own dreams and aspirations, creating a complex relationship that shaped her journey in the entertainment industry. At the age of 10, Sandra moved to Manhattan with her mother and was enrolled in a professional children's school designed for aspiring child actors and performers. This move to Manhattan was a significant turning point in Sandra's life, marking the beginning of her career in earnest. While other children her age were attending regular schools, Sandra was learning the ins and outs of the entertainment industry. The school was filled with other young hopefuls, each trying to break into the competitive world of acting. After school, Sandra would attend auditions, immersing herself in the vibrant yet challenging atmosphere of the city. It wasn't long before she was discovered, and her first major break came when she appeared in a Girl Scout magazine. This exposure led to her being signed by a prestigious modeling agency, opening doors to further opportunities. However, the pressure to succeed at such a young age took its toll on Sandra. While she appeared happy and successful on the outside, she was privately struggling to cope with the demands placed on her. By the age of 14, Sandra Dee was already making waves in the modeling world, earning over $60,000 annually. This remarkable amount was extraordinary for a teenager during that era, positioning her as one of the highest-paid young models in the industry. Her fresh-faced beauty and wholesome image made her a sought-after choice for various advertising campaigns. High-profile brands like Coppertone and Coca-Cola featured her prominently, showcasing her appeal to a wide audience. However, the financial success came with significant pressures. Being constantly in the public eye meant that Sandra's every move was under scrutiny from both the media and her mother. The expectations to maintain a perfect image, both in looks and behavior, weighed heavily on her. This relentless pressure contributed to the development of an eating disorder and struggles with self-worth, highlighting the darker side of early fame and success. The challenges she faced during her formative years shaped her life in profound ways. Despite her success, Sandra Dee endured years of sexual abuse at the hands of her stepfather, Eugene Devon. This painful experience was compounded by the fact that her mother, Mary, never acknowledged these allegations, leaving Sandra to carry the emotional burden in silence. The abuse left deep scars on her psyche, profoundly affecting her sense of self-worth and her relationships with men throughout her life. Sandra often described her stepfather as a kind man, which reveals the deep psychological conflict she experienced. On one hand, he provided financial stability and played a significant role in her life, but on the other, he betrayed her trust in the most painful way imaginable. This unresolved trauma haunted Sandra, contributing to her struggles with anorexia, alcoholism, and drug dependency. The complexities of her feelings toward her stepfather illustrate the struggle many face when dealing with abuse, as they grapple with conflicting emotions and the long-lasting impact of their experiences. The scars of her past shaped her life in ways that were often hidden from the public eye, yet they were a constant presence in her journey. The trauma from Sandra Dee's childhood abuse had deep and lasting effects on her life. As she grew older, she developed severe anorexia, a serious eating disorder that nearly claimed her life on several occasions. At times, her weight dropped to alarming levels, leading to hospitalizations. Despite the severity of her condition, her mother remained in denial about the underlying issues that contributed to Sandra's struggles. This lack of support only intensified Sandra's feelings of isolation and despair. In an attempt to cope with the emotional pain she could not articulate, she turned to alcohol and pills. These substances became a way for her to escape her reality, but they also created a cycle of addiction that complicated her life further. The combination of anorexia and substance abuse made it challenging for her to maintain a stable career or personal relationships. Over the years, she faced numerous health complications as a result of these struggles. Even with her efforts to seek help and recover, the scars from her childhood continued to shape her choices and interactions with others. The impact of her early experiences lingered, affecting her ability to find peace and happiness in her adult life. In 1956, Sandra Dee faced a significant moment in her life when her stepfather passed away during heart surgery. This event was a turning point for her, filled with mixed emotions. On one hand, she felt a sense of relief that her abuser was no longer part of her life. On the other hand, she experienced a deep sense of loss and confusion, struggling to reconcile her feelings about the man who had caused her pain. Shortly after this tragic event, an opportunity arose that would change her life forever. Her agent arranged for her to audition for a role in a major Hollywood production. At just 14 years old, Sandra was cast in her first movie, Until They Sail, where she acted alongside renowned stars like James Simmons and Paul Newman. This role was an incredible opportunity for such a young actress, and marked the beginning of her long and complex career in Hollywood. The film opened doors for her, allowing her to navigate the challenges of fame while dealing with her personal struggles. Sandra's big break came in 1959 when she starred in Imitation of Life alongside Lana Turner. This film, which dealt with complex themes of race and identity, became a massive box office success and catapulted Sandra into the spotlight. Her performance was praised for its emotional depth, showcasing her ability to convey a range of feelings that resonated with audiences. This role solidified her status as one of Hollywood's rising stars, marking a significant transition in her career. It helped to redefine her image from a child star to a serious actress, capable of handling more mature themes that reflected the complexities of life. However, with the fame came increased scrutiny from the public and the media. Sandra found herself struggling to maintain the wholesome image that had been created for her during her earlier years in the industry. The pressures of stardom began to weigh heavily on her, and the public's expectations only added to the growing sense of isolation she felt in her personal life. The challenges she faced during this time highlighted the often harsh realities of fame and the impact it can have on an individual's mental and emotional well-being. In 1958, Sandra Dee showcased her talent in The Reluctant Debutante and The Restless Years, both featuring John Saxon. These films played a significant role in solidifying her reputation as a versatile actress, demonstrating her ability to take on a variety of roles. The chemistry between Sandra and John Saxon was particularly praised, leading to their collaboration on several projects. This partnership highlighted their on-screen connection, which resonated with audiences and critics alike. Sandra's skill in transitioning between genres, from lighthearted comedies to more serious dramas, made her one of the most sought-after young actresses in Hollywood during that era. Despite her success, the pressures of maintaining her career began to weigh heavily on her. The demands of the film industry, coupled with the need to stay relevant, took a toll on her mental and physical health. This struggle was often hidden behind her charming performances, revealing the complexities of her life as a young star in a demanding environment. Despite her flourishing career, Sandra made the decision to complete her education, graduating from Universal High School in Los Angeles in 1958. Balancing her education with her career was no easy feat, but Sandra was determined to achieve both. While many young actresses in her position might have chosen to focus solely on their careers, Sandra understood the importance of having a solid education to fall back on. Her time at Universal High School was marked by the challenges of being a famous actress, while also trying to live a relatively normal teenage life. Her classmates, many of whom were also in the entertainment industry, provided a support system, but Sandra still struggled with the isolation that came with her level of fame. The pressures of acting and the demands of schoolwork often clashed, yet she managed to navigate this difficult path with resilience. This commitment to education not only shaped her character, but also set a precedent for young women in Hollywood, showing that it is possible to pursue both dreams and academic goals. While filming come September in 1960, Sandra Dee met Bobby Darin, and their connection was immediate. The chemistry they shared on screen quickly blossomed into a passionate romance off-screen. However, their relationship faced significant challenges from the very beginning. Sandra's mother, Mary, was not supportive of their love, and took active steps to keep them apart. Despite her mother's disapproval, Sandra and Bobby were determined to be together. They navigated the difficulties of their young love, which was marked by both joy and turmoil. The pressures of their rising careers added strain to their relationship, but their feelings for each other remained strong. In a bold move, they decided to marry in a private ceremony in 1960, choosing to follow their hearts despite the obstacles and expectations from those around them. Their love story was a mix of passion and struggle, reflecting the complexities of young love in the spotlight. In 1961, Sandra Dee and her husband Bobby welcomed their only child, Dodd Mitchell Darin. Sandra took immense pride in her role as a mother and was determined to raise Dodd without the assistance of a nanny. She wanted to be fully involved in his life, cherishing every moment as he grew. Balancing motherhood with her acting career proved to be a significant challenge. The demands of being a mother, coupled with her struggles with alcohol and pills, created a constant tug-of-war within her. She often felt the weight of her responsibilities as a mother clashing with the expectations of her career as an actress. Despite these challenges, Sandra continued to work in the film industry, appearing in several notable films during this period, including Romanoff and Juliet, and Tammy Tell Me True. Her determination to maintain her career while being a present mother showcased her resilience, even as she navigated the complexities of her personal life. The journey of balancing these two important aspects of her life was not easy, yet it highlighted her commitment to both her family and her profession. In 1962, Sandra Dee and Bobby Darin starred together in the romantic comedy If a Man Answers. This film not only showcased their on-screen chemistry, but also allowed them to spend precious time together during a busy period in their lives. The movie was a box office success, and audiences delighted in watching the real-life couple portray their love story on screen. For Sandra, this time was filled with joy as she worked alongside the man she adored, while also advancing her own career in Hollywood. However, as their marriage continued, the pressures of fame began to weigh heavily on them. Bobby was deeply committed to his music career, often spending long hours in the studio or touring, which left Sandra feeling increasingly isolated and lonely. Despite their love and efforts to maintain their relationship, the demands of their respective careers created significant tension. The strain of their busy lives ultimately took a toll on their marriage, leading to challenges that neither had anticipated. Throughout her marriage, Sandra Dee faced significant personal struggles, particularly with the heartache of several miscarriages. These losses deeply affected her, as she had always envisioned a large family filled with joy and laughter. Each miscarriage brought a wave of devastation that weighed heavily on her spirit. The emotional toll was compounded by the pressures of her acting career and the frequent absences of her husband, Bobby. As the loneliness and sorrow grew, Sandra sought solace in alcohol and pills, believing they could help her cope with the overwhelming pain. Unfortunately, her substance abuse issues became more pronounced during this challenging period, leading to a decline in her health. Despite her attempts to project an image of happiness, those close to her could see the cracks in her facade. The repeated losses and her struggles with addiction created a rift in her marriage, causing Sandra and Bobby to drift apart. The combination of grief and the pressures of life left Sandra feeling isolated and lost. In 1967, after 7 years of marriage, Sandra and Bobby divorced. The end of their marriage marked a turning point in Sandra's life, as she found herself without the support of the man she had loved so deeply. While Bobby's career continued to thrive, Sandra's passion for acting began to wane. She appeared in only a handful of television episodes after their divorce, and it became clear that her heart was no longer in the entertainment industry. The pressures of fame, combined with her personal struggles, had taken a toll on her mental and physical health, and she retreated from the spotlight. Her decision to step away from her career left many of her fans disappointed, but for Sandra, it was a necessary step in reclaiming some semblance of control over her life. The challenges she faced during this period were significant, as she navigated the complexities of her emotions and the realities of a changing career landscape. The impact of her divorce and the subsequent decline in her career shaped her journey in profound ways. In 1973, Bobby Darin passed away after heart surgery, leaving Sandra and their son Dodd devastated. The news hit Sandra hard, as she had always held a special place in her heart for Bobby, despite their divorce. His death was not just a loss. It was a profound moment that changed her life forever. She often described him as her one true love, and losing him marked the beginning of a deep mourning period for her. Dodd, who was only 12 years old at the time, also struggled to cope with the loss of his father. The young boy faced the challenge of understanding such a significant loss while dealing with his own feelings of sadness and confusion. Sandra did her best to support Dodd during this difficult time, but she was also grappling with her own grief. The death of Bobby Darin was a defining moment in Sandra's life, marking the end of an era filled with love and shared memories. The impact of his passing lingered in her heart, shaping her future and the way she approached life and motherhood. After her divorce from Bobby Darin, Sandra Dee chose not to remarry. Despite her fame as one of Hollywood's cherished actresses, she opted for a life of quiet and seclusion. This decision stemmed from a profound sense of loss and disappointment that permeated both her personal and professional life. Sandra expressed feelings of being a has-been that never was, highlighting her struggle with self-worth and identity after her marriage ended. The emotional weight of her relationship with Bobby lingered, shaping her experiences and choices. As time passed, her declining health further pushed her away from the spotlight, allowing her to shield herself from the potential pain of new heartbreaks. The love she had for Bobby remained a significant part of her life, and she never truly moved on from the impact he had on her. This deep connection to her past colored her existence, making it difficult for her to embrace new opportunities or relationships. The shadows of love and loss defined her later years, leaving her in a state of reflection and solitude. As Sandra Dee took on her final acting role in the 1983 movie Lost, she found herself alongside Jack Elam. By this time, her health was already in decline, making it challenging for her to meet the demands of the film industry. The role in Lost marked the end of a career that had once been filled with promise and success. After the film's release, Sandra made the difficult choice to withdraw from public life entirely. This decision was not made lightly. She felt it was necessary to focus on her health and family. The pressures of acting had become too much, and she wanted to preserve her remaining strength. Her fans were left with cherished memories of the bright young star who had captivated audiences around the world. The transition from a vibrant actress to a private individual was a poignant moment in her life, reflecting the challenges she faced. Sandra's legacy as a talented performer remains, even as she chose to step away from the spotlight. In 1987, the passing of Sandra Dee's mother, Mary, from lung cancer marked a significant turning point in Sandra's life. For many years, Mary had been a dominant force in Sandra's life, guiding her decisions and shaping her identity. With her mother's death, Sandra found herself feeling lost and without direction. This loss triggered a downward spiral in her mental and physical health. Struggling to cope with the absence of her mother, Sandra faced immense challenges in making choices for herself. Her battles with anorexia intensified, and she turned to alcohol as a means of escape. As time went on, her health began to deteriorate rapidly. Hospital visits became frequent as she dealt with various ailments stemming from years of neglect and abuse. Despite the dedicated efforts of her doctors and the support of her son, Sandra's condition continued to decline. It became increasingly evident that her body was unable to withstand the toll of her struggles, leaving her in a state of vulnerability and despair. By the early 2000s, Sandra Dee faced significant health challenges that changed the course of her life. She was diagnosed with both throat cancer and kidney failure, marking the beginning of a difficult chapter. Throat cancer affected her ability to speak, making communication a struggle. At the same time, kidney failure required her to undergo dialysis, which became a regular part of her life. Despite these overwhelming obstacles, Sandra showed remarkable determination to fight her illnesses. With the support of her son, she made the brave decision to quit drinking, a step that reflected her desire to regain control over her health. However, the toll that these diseases had taken on her body was severe, and her health continued to decline. The vibrant actress who once captivated audiences was now a frail shadow of herself. As her condition worsened, it became increasingly clear that recovery was not in her future. The battles she faced were not just physical but emotional, as she navigated the challenges of her deteriorating health. In 2001, Sandra Dee faced a significant health challenge when she was placed on dialysis due to kidney failure. This treatment allowed her to continue living for several more years, providing some relief from the pain and suffering she had endured for a long time. However, it was important to understand that dialysis was not a cure for her condition. Despite the treatment, Sandra continued to battle various health issues that had plagued her for years. Throughout this difficult journey, her son Dodd remained a steadfast source of support, standing by her side as she navigated her struggles. Although Sandra had made the decision to give up drinking and was actively trying to improve her health, the years of damage to her body had taken a significant toll. Her physical condition was weak, and despite her best efforts to regain her strength, her health continued to deteriorate. The once bright star of Hollywood's golden era found herself living in near isolation, with her health dictating the terms of her life. In February 2005, Sandra Dee faced serious health challenges that led to her hospitalization at Los Robles Hospital in Thousand Oaks, California. She was suffering from kidney failure and pneumonia, conditions that required intensive medical attention. Despite the dedicated efforts of the medical staff, her health continued to decline over the course of 2 weeks in intensive care. On February 20, 2005, Sandra Dee passed away at the age of 62. Her death marked the conclusion of a life that had seen both remarkable successes and profound struggles. Many fans around the world mourned her passing, recalling her as the vibrant young star who once captivated audiences on the silver screen. Although her later years were marked by difficulties, Sandra Dee's legacy as a talented actress and cherished figure in Hollywood remained strong. Her contributions to film and her impact on popular culture continue to be remembered fondly by those who admired her work and spirit. Dodd Darren, Sandra Dee's son, carries the weight of his mother's legacy, along with 2 granddaughters who also remember her fondly. Millions of fans still cherish Sandra as the sweetheart of the silver screen. Her life was not without personal struggles, yet her influence on the film industry remains significant. Sandra's performances in iconic films like Imitation of Life and Gidget showcased her talent and charm, leaving a lasting impression on Hollywood. Despite the challenges she faced, her resilience shone through, making her a beloved figure in American cinema. Dodd honors his mother's memory by sharing her story, ensuring that her contributions to entertainment are remembered. Sandra's journey reflects both the beauty and heartbreak that often accompany fame, reminding us of the complexities of life in the spotlight. Her legacy continues to inspire and resonate with those who appreciate her work and the impact she had on the hearts of many. The exploration of Sandra Dee's life reveals a rich tapestry of contradictions. While she was celebrated as America's sweetheart, her journey was far from simple. The public adored her for her charm and innocence, yet behind the scenes, she faced significant challenges. The pressures of fame often weighed heavily on her, leading to struggles that many may not have recognized. The song Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dee captures this duality perfectly, showcasing how her image was crafted to fit societal expectations. This performance, while entertaining, also serves as a reminder of the sacrifices made by those in the spotlight. It highlights the often unseen battles that accompany a life lived under constant scrutiny. As viewers reflect on her story, they gain insight into the complexities of identity and the impact of public perception on personal reality. Sandra Dee's legacy is a poignant reminder of the human experience behind the glamorous facade of Hollywood.